Hi. So you and I are being asked to follow a number of guidelines, and we're being asked to maintain social distancing, thoroughly wash our hands, keep surfaces clean. And so today I just wanted to give you a tiny bit of a window into the science behind why. So what we're all worried about is something called the coronavirus. And if you look at it, the most simplest structure, it looks like this. And it basically has a number of what they call spike proteins on the outside. And it gives this crown-like effect. And so the name corona came from the crown-like effect, coronavirus crown. And that's where the name coronavirus comes from. But what's causing all the trouble worldwide at the moment is COVID-19, one coronavirus. And this has, again, these spike proteins and a lipid layer. And this lipid layer creates an envelope or a capsule. And inside that, you have a small amount of genetic material. And this is what the structure of it looks like. Now, the interesting thing about viruses is that they're in some ways not considered to be a living cell because they have no ability to actually replicate or make copies of themselves without actually infecting and using the machinery of a host cell. And in the case of COVID-19, the host cells it's looking for are the cells of our airways, and more specifically, cells in our lungs that have a protein called ACE2, and it binds onto that protein. And when it binds onto that protein, then it'll inject this genetic information into the cell, and then that will hijack the machinery to replicate and replicate and replicate and make millions and millions and millions of copies until it bursts out of that cell looking for other cells around to infect and also to be expelled out of the body. And so they talk about droplets, air droplets. And so when you're coughing and you're sneezing, it's because there's viruses inside in those droplets being expelled out of the body and that they're on other surfaces. And so we're being asked to maintain social distance, but the reason behind that is we're trying to avoid giving the virus other host cells to get involved and infect and basically hijack for its own purposes, which is to continue to replicate and reproduce itself. So that's what the social distancing, that's what maintaining those clean surfaces is all about. Now, we're also being asked to wash our hands thoroughly, and an interesting thing about soap is that part of its structure, when you get down to like really minutiae, it has what they call water shunning tails. And those tails on the soap actually can shove themselves into this lipid layer, and they actually break the lipid layer open, and they cause the genetic information to leak out and basically wipe out the virus. And so that's why it's so important to be washing our hands thoroughly as well. So long term, we're looking for a vaccine. That's what we want, is to be immunized against it. But in the meantime, what we want to do is take our understanding of a virus and its understanding of its structure and understanding of its mode of infection and find ways to stop it. And so that's what the guidelines are all about. Not giving the virus access to move on to other people and other cells to infect so it can keep going and going and going. And also, if it has got out onto surfaces or our hands, is to find ways to kill it right there. So it's a little bit about the science behind it. It's only a tiny window into it. Actually, in the comments below or in the description below, you'll find a link to a really good article in the New York Times that gives a little bit more detail and also about the immune system and the targets they might be looking to create a vaccine from. So I hope it's just a little bit of an intro into the virus, into what the guidelines are all about, and that you found that a bit interesting. And it's really, really important that we follow these guidelines. They are really based on our understanding of the virus and our ability to stop it in its tracks. And that's why we're all being asked to maintain a safe distance, thoroughly wash our hands and wash all surfaces, because we can have a role in stopping it moving anywhere forward and having an opportunity to replicate any further.